Hello and welcome to your daily dose of Satoshi's news. Today's date is Thursday, the 1st of May, 2025. The year BSV comes alive. Branch your threads, expand your mind with treechat.ai, or your posts put on chain. Right, let's see what we've got today. So this article was released on April 28th, and it said Satoshi disappear day. CIA agent bought Bitcoin from former lead developer. I mean, what an absolute load of crap this article is going to be, but we're going to read it purely for entertainment value. We've got another article here from Cointelegraph saying Bunk, Europe's second largest neobank, expands into crypto. Sounds interesting. CoinGeek have said Trump's stablecoin market cap soars. Circle rejects Ripple takeover. Got an article here by CSW. That looks quite intense that we'll go over. We'll have a look at some of the figures because they're looking quite good at the moment. Literally, I mean, look at this. 36 million transactions in the last 24 hours. 38 now. 38.9. 38.999. That's going to be 39 million in not so long. And then some other little bits of news to catch up on. And then that'll be the end of the show. Right, let's get into it.
Greg says he's Satoshi, like a cowboy in the West, riding on the blockchain that they call the very best. 1 million strong, them transactions flying free. Just wait for the Terra node, you'll surely see.
Alright, here we go. So the Blockworks have said Satoshi disappear day. CIA agent bought Bitcoin from former lead developer. Okay. So it says here, Satoshi disappear day celebrates Bitcoin's success without its creator. So again, now they're saying, oh, it's successful because it didn't have a creator. It was absolutely essential that the creator disappear in order for the network to go through a process of commoditization. But they'll leave that bit out because they don't want anybody to think that Satoshi was absolutely planning to return because he had to, because all chains of signatures lead back to the Genesis block. Which is where accountability ultimately lies. So that's how we know that Satoshi Nakamoto was going to reveal his true identity at some point in the future. But they don't want you to know that. So it said, this is a segment from the Supply Shock newsletter. Read full editions here. Yeah. So there is so much more to Bitcoin than Satoshi. Let's celebrate. Today is Satoshi Disappear Day, as declared by early contributor Kiba on the day in 2011. Since Satoshi has been confirmed to be not coming back, that's bullshit, the Bitcoin community now has to fend for ourselves, Kiba wrote. So again, he'll be another bad egg. I propose we make a Bitcoin holiday in honor of our legendary anonymous founder and to observe the fact that the Bitcoin community will be just fine after the inventor of Bitcoin left. Not quite, because you can't use Bitcoin, an absolute piece of shit. Well, great coin as it is. Even if Gavin is hit by the bus tomorrow, we can live. Gavin Andresen has disclosed his impending meeting with the CIA, both privately with Satoshi and publicly on the Bitcoin Talk forum only days earlier. On this day, Satoshi Disappear Day, what Kiba said turned out to be true. Since Satoshi left, other contributors have worked together to release 73 new versions of the software on Bitcoin, that's Breakcoin, Breakcoin's way to becoming a multi-trillion-dollar asset. In that time, developers have pushed upgrades, big and small, while migrating bugs and potential disasters. Bitcoin's creator was otherwise only around for a half dozen or so, even if they conceived and built the original version by themselves. We also can't exactly draw a direct line between Gavin's CIA visit and Satoshi's disappearance. A few days before Gavin announced he was to meet with the CIA, Satoshi in an email had already mentioned to another earlier developer, Mike Hearn, that he had moved on to other things. But considering Satoshi's apparently never replied to Gavin's email, at the very least, we can assume he confirmed their decision to never return. Meanwhile, Bitcoin was attracting mainstream media attention, and with Andy Greenberg's article in Forbes Cryptocurrency running in the week leading up to the inaugural Satoshi Disappearance Day. The article is a progenitor to the super shadowy coder trope that has plagued political crypto discourse ever since. It mistakenly describes Bitcoin developers as Gavin's underground cadre of cypherpunks working on anonymous money used to buy illegal drugs outside of government oversight, and imagine an image against which Satoshi wanted to push back. Yeah, quote 6. Satoshi said, "I wish you wouldn't keep talking about me as a mysterious shadowy figure. The press just turns that into a pirate's currency angle," Satoshi told Gavin. "Maybe instead make it about the open source project and give more credit to your devs contributors. It helps motivate them." Gavin wasn't happy with the wacky pirate money theme either, and agreed that more credit for other contributors was a great idea. Quotes here. "On a completely different subject, I did something that I hope turns out to be smart, but it might be stupid," Gavin said. He'd been contacted by InQtel, a venture capitalist firm established by the CIA that discovers and invests in cutting-edge technologies that will benefit the US agencies. InQtel had invited Gavin to its annual conference on emerging technologies, with the theme of that year being mobility of money. They asked if I'd be willing to talk about Bitcoin, and I committed to giving a 50-minute presentation and participating in a panel discussion, Gavin wrote on his email. "I hope that by talking directly to them, and more importantly listening to their questions/concerns, they will think of Bitcoin the way I do." That was never going to happen. "Just as a plain, better, more efficient, less subject to political whims money. Not as an all-powerful black market tool that will be used by anarchists to overthrow the system." Gavin found himself between a rock and a hard place. It might be really stupid if it just raises Bitcoin's visibility on the CIA's radar. But I think it is way too late for that. Bitcoin is already on their radar, he told Satoshi. He was also transparent about the trip. Gavin shared his presentation with Bitcoin Talk shortly after the full version is still available in the archive. Oh, wow. And quickly appeared on Bruce Wagner's The Bitcoin Show to discuss the meeting. "After thinking pretty hard about it, I decided I would do it because it's an open source project. I figured, going to the CIA and talking very openly about what Bitcoin is and what it could do wouldn't hurt the project. It's not a secret," Gavin said on the podcast. The conference itself was a 3-day event, with the first day unclassified, which meant Gavin could discuss it, while the other 2 were classified. Gavin said there were people from PayPal and Facebook in attendance, as well as economists from the Federal Reserve. What's this? What is a transaction? Payment to one or more addresses. Block all transactions. Big. Oh, yeah. So this is part of Gavin's presentation, offered a tutorial on how Bitcoin works alongside a rundown on the state of the ecosystem as it was in June 2011. So what's he saying? In June 2011, under the covers, there are no Bitcoins. There are only transactions, which are payments to one or more Bitcoin addresses, from 0 to more previous transactions. Transactions from a direct graph, always starting at generation transactions. The first transaction in every block, which rewards the miner for finding the block. Average transaction size is about 3,000 bytes, very small. Oh. Fascinating. As for why the CIA might be interested in Bitcoin, Gavin could only speculate like the rest of us. Yeah, because he didn't know how nefarious they were back then. I mean, obviously, paying people covertly is part of what the CIA does, and so a payment system that they could use to pay someone covertly is very interesting to them, Gavin said. For those after more intrigue, this might help. Gavin sold Bitcoin to a CIA agent at the conference. I had a couple of people come up to me afterwards and say they thought Bitcoin was really cool. One interesting interaction, I actually sold a Bitcoin while I was there to one of the CIA people. I had showed bit bills. I had a couple of bit bills in my wallet as an example of a physical Bitcoin that you can hold. He said it was very cool. I wanted to buy one from me so he could show his boss. Bitcoin traded at around $15 at the time. God, we're only like a little bit above that right now. So there you have it. If the CIA lab leak theory about Satoshi holds any weight, a big if, then it took only 2.5 years for one of its own to return to headquarters with an actual Bitcoin. It's now worth almost 6,500x more. Happy Satoshi Disappear Day. So like they're trying to celebrate Satoshi disappearing. You know, again, more psyops, you know. But there we go. Right, let's get on to this then. This is kind of interesting. So Bunk, Europe's second largest neobank, expands into crypto. And this was April 29th. An estimated 65% of European citizens are seeking a single application to manage their banking, savings and cryptocurrency investments, according to Bunk's research. Europe's second largest neobank, Bunk, is expanding into cryptocurrency, citing a growing retail investor demand for digital assets worldwide. The Amsterdam-based neobank announced the launch of a Bunk Crypto on April 29th. A new offering enables its users to invest in over 300 cryptocurrencies, including Gregcoin, ETH and Solana. Surprise, surprise. Starting April 29th, Bunk users in the Netherlands, France, Spain, Ireland, Italy and Belgium will be able to access cryptocurrencies directly through the Bunk app, according to an announcement. Bunk's CEO, Ali Nicknam, told Cointelegraph that the move was driven by growing client demand for digital assets. We believe that now many people, in a large majority, are interested in crypto, and we believe that they are interested in buying crypto through an environment that they can trust and they can relate to and they can recognize, he said. Yeah, looks a bit suspicious there with their logo colours. Moreover, a friendlier regulatory landscape helped clear the path for the bank's expansion into crypto, he said. I think for a long time the future of crypto from a regulatory perspective was a bit unclear. He's probably talking about Donald Trump's giving it the A-OK. And we have seen a lot of that change over the course of the past couple of months, and so we felt sufficiently assured as a regulated entity to now offer this to the general public, Nicknam added. The crypto offering is powered in partnership with Kraken, the 14th largest centralized cryptocurrency exchange globally by trade volume. All-in-one financial platforms in focus. This marks the first phase of Bunk's global crypto expansion, with plans to gradually roll out trading across the entire Europe economic area, as well as the United States and the United Kingdom. So, I mean, they're basically trying to shitcoin. They're trying to get the shitcoins out to the mass public to distract them away from Bitcoin. That's what this is all about. I can see it clear as day. They're like, oh yeah, you can buy all these shitcoins. Just keep on buying these shitcoins. Just don't buy Bitcoin because we won't be offering the genuine one to anybody. So this marks the first of phase of Bunk's global expansion, with plans to gradually roll out across the entire year. As of June 2024, Bunk reported more than 12.5 million users, up from 9 million users a year earlier. Bunk's move reflects a broader trend among financial institutions seeking to consolidate service, banking, savings and investing into single digital platforms. In a February post on X, Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong said that he expects future financial systems to be anchored by a single primary financial account where users manage all their financial activities. Again, he's part of the cabal as well. Demand for simplified crypto access. Research commissioned by Bunk indicates a significant gap between available crypto offerings and user expectations in Europe. An estimated 65% of European consumers are seeking a unified platform to manage banking, saving and cryptocurrency investments, according to the study. Over 50% of surveyed investors want crypto exposure, but said the existing platforms don't meet their requirements, particularly regarding simplicity and security for new investors. So again, this will be New World Order bringing in their one world currency. Race against time, really. We either start using Bitcoin or they'll just simply create currency and we'll be screwed. Our users across the world have long waited for a simple, safe and straightforward way to invest in digital assets, said Ali Nicknam, founder and CEO of Bunk. Now everything they will ever need to save, spend and invest, including crypto, is in one platform. Bunk's crypto expansion follows a Revolut's move in November 2024 to expand its crypto exchange services across 30 European Economic Area markets. Interesting. I mean, it's interesting now that whereas before they were literally trying to block access, now they're just like, yeah, look, have access to all these shitcoins, but just don't buy Bitcoin. So the walls are crumbling. They're now actually having to give people access to crypto because the demand is there for it. And again, the demand will follow. The demand will flow into Bitcoin because the economic incentive will be there. That's why people will be using it. Again, miners, transaction fees and all that. Massive. Right, so CoinGeek has got an article here saying Trump stablecoins market cap soars. Circle rejects Ripple takeover. So US President Donald Trump's stablecoin has seen its market cap soar higher in a shorter period than many established rivals because, well, you know. So USD1 market cap soars as Senate plots genius vote. SEC drops PYUSD probe. Coinbase eliminates PYUSD fees. Circle rejects Ripple takeover. Inks new payment deal. Tether US facing stable could launch this year. And Treasury predicts $2 trillion stablecoin market by 2028. So on April 29th, Politico reported that Senate Majority Leader John Thune, RSD, had informed his Republican colleagues that the Senate would act on its stablecoin legislation before Memorial Day, which is May 26th. The Senate's guiding and establishing national innovation for US stablecoins. Oh, that's what GENIUS stands for. Guiding, establishing national innovation for US stablecoin. Genius, brilliant. Act got a thumbs up from the Senate Banking Committee in March, paving the way for a landmark vote on the Senate floor, something no digital asset legislation has yet enjoyed. Rival legislation Stable in the House of Representatives received its own committee approval on April 2nd, although there's no date for when the full House will get a chance to approve the measure. The two bills will need to be harmonised before making it to Trump's desk for signing into law, but industry figures have suggested an August timeline for signing isn't unreasonable. Trump is hardly a disinterested bystander in the legislative push, as his many crypto ventures, including the USD1 dollar-denominated stablecoin that was confirmed by his decentralized finance project, World Liberty Finance, in March. USD1's market cap crossed the $2 billion threshold. $2 billion threshold on April 29th. A remarkable leap considering it's barely a month old, and its cap stood at just $137 million on April 28th. USD1 now ranks 7th in market cap along all stable coins, better than PYUSD, $879 million. Dollar-denominated stablecoins are used by PayPal, Nasdaq, and Paxos Trust in August 2023, and the RLUSD, is that Ripple Ledger USD, 317 million, stable issued by Ripple Labs last year. The two leading dollar-denominated stables have also enjoyed inflated caps recently, sparking hopes that a new round of flagrant wash trading will soon boost the stagnant price of the token like BTC. Tether's market-leading USD has risen by over $3 billion in the last week to a new high of $148.7 billion. While Circle's USDC is currently sitting at the $61.5 billion, just off its record high of $62.3 billion last week. I wonder if this is because people are moving out of Federal Reserve dollars because they know that the Federal Reserve banking system. Well, they know the Federal Reserve banking system can just simply be wiped because it's centrally controlled. Funds can be confiscated from them. And they may be just thinking that they trust Trump and that their wealth is better off in Trump coin USD1 because it's on blockchain. However, they haven't realized that the only network that can actually support a digital stable coin is the BSV network, because it's literally the only protocol that actually secures data. That's the whole point of it. You've got a network that is secured by the asset that runs on it because it's not centrally controlled. That's the whole point of Bitcoin. I mean, I guess people will get there eventually, but it's just frustratingly slow when all these people that are meant to be super smart, all these multi-millionaires and billionaires, and they don't have a clue what Bitcoin is yet. And here I am. It's just like, seriously, you don't get this, So PayPal's Coinbase deal sparks rumors of Circle Rift. PYUSD recently got some good news as the Securities and Exchange Commission quietly ended its probe of PayPal's stablecoin. The probe started in November 23, so it looks like they've just backed down. When the SEC hit PayPal with a request for documents related to PYUSD's launch. PayPal's, yeah. In a regulatory filing on April 29th, PayPal said the SEC has communicated it was closing this inquiry without enforcement action. The SEC, so just a change of strategy really, because the SEC is corrupt as fuck. The SEC has abandoned nearly all of its crypto enforcement actions following Trump's election last November, so PYUSD's reprieve isn't surprising. But the fact that the news failed to light a fire under the stablecoin's market cap is perhaps a further indication that there is only room for a certain number of dollar-denominated stablecoins, not affiliated with the current president of the United States. The demise of the SEC probe followed last week's announcement that PayPal has struck a new partnership with the Coinbase or Nasdaq Coin Exchange. The deal will eliminate platform fees for buying, selling, and trading PayPal USD, while also allowing customers to redeem PayPal USD for dollars directly on the exchange. The parties have also agreed to explore new use cases for PayPal USD and DeFi platforms, and to collaborate on a variety of innovations that will help accelerate the adoption and utility of stablecoin-based solutions for the purpose of moving or managing money around the world, particularly in commerce. PayPal and Coinbase have been working together since 2021, when Coinbase allowed users to both fund their exchange accounts directly from and withdraw to their PayPal accounts. However, the new PayPal USD deal had some observers speculating that it is all all is not well between Coinbase and Circle, which previously was the only stablecoin issuer to enjoy fee-free privileges on the exchange. A Coinbase rep denied any friction between the exchange and Circle, telling DL News that Coinbase was committed to accelerating global adoption of stablecoin payments, and a partnership with both Circle and PayPal are key to making that happen. However, Circle's recent initial public offering prospectus exposed the steep price Circle had to pay to enjoy its Coinbase privileges. Circle dealt with rival exchanges Binance to promote USDC, came at a similar punitive cost. It's not yet known how much PayPal had to ante up to secure its Coinbase privileges, but it's likely a considerable sum. It's all bribes then, basically. It's all bribes. It's ridiculous. Circle rejected Ripple takeover, too busy killing Ripple payments. On April 30th, Bloomberg reported that Circle was the target of a takeover bid by Ripple. Although Circle was said to have rejected the offer, the $4 billion to $5 billion range as too low. While Ripple reportedly remains interested in acquiring Circle, the latter is for the moment more focused on its IPO plans. Ironically, Circle's recent announcement of its new Circle payment network, what a load of crap that is, aims to make cross-border transactions with USDC or Circle's euro-denominated EURC as easy or easier as Ripple payments. It's Ripple's offer a Zuckerberg-like admission that if you can't beat 'em, buy 'em. Circle's CPN announcement listed several global design partners, and Circle announced on April 30th that it had struck a deal with the Onfric, Africa's largest digital payment gateway, to pilot USDC settlements with the Onfric's network. Onfric operates in 40 African countries, connecting 5 million digital wallets with 200 million bank accounts. The goal is to reduce the number of transactions that are currently routed through correspondent banks outside the continent. Circle is also celebrating having received in principle approval from the Financial Services Regulatory Authority, FSRA, of the Abu Dhabi global market. The approval will allow Circle to operate as a money service provider in the United Arab Emirates International Financial Hub. Circle also struck a deal with Abu Dhabi's Hub 71, a global tech ecosystem, to strengthen innovation within the digital asset space. I haven't really got time to read all of that, but it's quite interesting. Let's see what they say. USDC is the stablecoin of choice for the new partnership between Visa, and the UK digital banking outfit Banks. The pair are issuing a new payment card allowing users to spend USDC in their custodial wallets at any merchant that accepts Visa. The USDC is sent in real time to Banks, which converts USDC to fiat for payment. The plan is to launch the cards in the US before expanding globally. What? Staying stateside, the Wall Street Journal reported that Circle is one of the several digital asset firms pursuing a US bank charter. The apparent goal is to comply with requirements in the US stablecoin bill for the stable issuer to hold charter or licenses from financial regulators. Also in the charter, Hunt are said to be a digital asset custodian, BitGo, on whose stablecoin as a service platform Trump's USD1 was issued, as well as Coinbase and Paxos. Tether's US stable plans. It seems unlikely that Tether would pursue a US bank charter given the heightened regulatory scrutiny this would impose on the notoriously sunshine-averse company. However, Tether has mused about launching a US-specific stablecoin that a standalone company would presumably issue with minimal ties to Tether, to the Tether mothership, which could reduce its need to drop its drawers and bend over a table while regulators snap on their rubber gloves. Tether CEO Paolo Adornio appeared to confirm as much in a recent interview with the New York Times. Adornio told the Times that Tether was considering opening a US arm to embrace this new opportunity. In a new interview with CNBC, Adornio suggests that Tether's new US-facing stablecoin could launch before the year is over. While the exact timing will depend on when Trump signs the stablecoin legislation, Adornio said, "We are looking at by the end of this year or early next year at the fastest." Treasury touts stablecoin exponential growth potential. The total stablecoin market cap is under $245 billion, which is 86% USDT and USDC and 99% denominated in US dollars. But a new digital money report from the US Treasury Department suggests that the stablecoin market cap could hit $2 trillion by 2028, with significant impacts across the financial sector. That's massive, but I mean, that all needs to come across onto BSV, or because otherwise it won't work. There's no other blockchain that can scale to cater for that. None of them. And they're not safe either. To wit, banks could face pressure to increase interest rates to match those offered by yield-bearing stablecoins, or else lose customer deposits. Demand for US Treasury bills, particularly in the 90-day variety, could jump as issuers comply with new regulatory requirements regarding fiat reserves, and a greater proportion of non-USD liquidity holdings could be converted to dollar-denominated stables. It's not all gravy. Lack of access to Federal Reserve master accounts by unqualified users could exacerbate periods of stress-stroke volatility. However, Treasury suggests this could migrate the reserve requirements in the stablecoin bills being debated in Congress. Overall, the document is a far cry from the Treasury's stablecoin reports from the previous administration. Mere days before last November's election, Treasury issued a report that, while noting the potential benefits of stable adoption, also claimed that stablecoins cannot function as a private money and will ultimately need to be strictly regulated like government money markets funds are today. But hey, that was 6 months ago. At this point, just shrug and get paid. After all, everybody's doing it. Well, yeah, a bit of sarcasm there at the end, absolutely. Oh, that was actually quite an interesting article. Right, 28 minutes gone. I do want to get through this article here from CSW. So, yeah, let's read through this. So he said, the war within the walls. So this is regarding to the Copa case and his lawyers. Week 7, isolation from allies. The call arrived without ceremony. Travis Smith would no longer represent me, not because of error, not from dereliction, but because a conflict had been introduced, constructed, forged, presented as legitimate. The paperwork was orderly, the wording precise. The signature bore the appearance of authorization, and at its origin was Christian Ager Hansen. The firm apologized. They were clear in their regret, but they were equally clear that the conflict, artificial as it was, obliged them to step aside. Christian had claimed he had acted with my instruction and with the backing of Calvin Ayre. Both assertions were false. Oof. Calvin wasn't my funder. Christian was never authorized, but Travis Smith believed in him. And they never asked me. It had been months, long enough to know me, long enough to ask, but when the false directive arrived, they stepped back without question. Everything was handed to the replacement team, neatly with diligence, filed boxes, chains of communication transferred, but there was no time, weeks, days, and though the content was preserved, the context died in transit. The folders were clean, the binders crisp, but continuity cannot be archived. What arrived was paper. What was lost was everything that made it living. The new council read the filings. They knew the procedural rhythm, but they hadn't felt the strain that snapped each sentence. They hadn't watched the courtroom when certain phrases landed. They hadn't sat across from me when the stakes were forming. They were the direction. When they're forming, when the direction was still elastic. They didn't carry the memory of the choices. They carried the text. They knew the facts, but they didn't know the breath that gave them pulse. The breath that gave them pulse. Travis Smith knew. They had known where emphasis mattered, when silence met threat, when a word was a coercion, or when a word was a concession. But they were gone. Not withdrawn in defiance, removed in protocol. And the war that followed wasn't a public collapse, but an internal disassembly. It began with silence, a subtle shuffling, emails that no longer reached the right eyes, calls delayed or deflected, familiar names missing from threads, permissions reconfigured. I walked corridors I'd walked for years and felt the building cool around me. The air changed. It smelled like old paper and disinfectant, a kind of sterile. The break room coffee lingered stale. The floor tiles echoed too sharply under my steps. Christian had not argued. He had rearranged. A shift here, a new instruction there. He understood that systems don't need to be broken. They only need to be rebalanced, not attacked. Titled a memo, a forward email, a quiet assurance, and the firm obeyed. The war was not outside. It was behind walls, between desks. It was the kind of war where nothing is said aloud, but everything changes, a silence that spreads like water behind plaster. Protocol became the language of surrender. We are compelled. It would not be appropriate. Clean hands, clean exit, but betrayal doesn't shout. It arrives in a memoranda. The new team were professionals, but were inheritors, not comrades. They had not built the case. They interpreted it. They referenced. They recited. And when they stood beside me in court, I felt alone. They read my facts, but not my story. They spoke in my voice, but it was borrowed. I stood beside them and did not hear myself. And that was the design. Christian didn't fabricate a new identity. He realigned the old one just enough. Adjusted the emphasis, tweaked the sequencing. The lie wasn't loud. It was pervasive. I reread emails and remembered writing and felt them grow unfamiliar. I looked at my calendar and doubted the dates. I read statements I'd signed and wondered if I'd misunderstood them at the time. It was not that truth had vanished, it had been moved. It had been gently shifted, dislocated by millimeters, just enough to undo belief. Travis Smith had handed over the documents. The new team had them all, but the through line was served. And what had once been a living case, pulsing with lived memory, now lay on desks like formaldehyde, preserved organs, preserved but inert. I passed Travis's office one final time. The door was open, the light off. The chair still slightly turned from the desk, as if someone had left mid-thought. The carpet bore the scent of cleaning fluid and silence. Nothing dramatic, just absence. And so I stood in the courtroom, flanked by gangsters. Not enemies, just strangers. They spoke well, they argued efficiently, but they didn't speak in my cadence. They didn't know the weight of what was missing. They had a script, they didn't have the rhythm. That's how it was done, not through force, not through accusation, through displacement, through suggestion, through silence, not defeat. Rewritten, not removed, recast. Wow, I think most people who are not on the spectrum would probably see what's going on straight away, and they would start asking questions. What's gone on? Why have you done this? Blah, 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 blah. But Craig, being on the Asperger's spectrum, he wouldn't have had a clue what was going on. Like, literally not a clue what was going on, because generally, when you're on the spectrum, you take things at face value. Somebody says something to you, you believe it. Like, why would you not lie? So this lot of they'll all be making excuses, and he'll be like, what's going on? Now it looks like the penny has dropped, but it's over. It's 12 months afterwards. But who the fuck got this Christian Ager Hansen guy in there? Seriously. I'm not even in Enchain, or CoinGeek, or I haven't got anything to do with it, but I hear rumblings. I hear rustlings. I hear people talking about it. And literally, the moment Christian Ager Hansen went in there, straight away, people were not happy. They were like, he's doing this, he's doing that. And it's just like, okay, well, why aren't the people at the top doing so? And this was literally almost immediately. And like, even with me, when Christian Ager Hansen was on the microphone, it was just, he was a blagger. It was just an absolute blagger. There was no substance in anything he said. Like, literally, and also the way he said it. It was just kind of like, I'm just going to come up and say this and I don't give a fuck what anybody else says because I'm completely inconsiderate to anybody else. Like, literally, he had an agenda. Right from the get-go. How could those at the top not have seen this and let this happen? I'm fucking furious. They should have let me in there, but instead they sacked me for making silverfish. Bastards. Trying to get the truth out there. What can you do? Shitcoiners, shit for brains. There are a lot of stupid people out there. Right, let's have a quick look at the figures here because they look really good. 35 minutes gone already. So $38 over. Look at this. Transactions 98.9. And block size 96.42. So the blocks coming through. Come on, look at this. 282, 161, 108, 102, 217, 141, 378, 270. And these are all megabytes. Bearing in mind, Gradecoin's just got a 1 megabyte transaction block size. So 70,000 times cheaper to transact on Bitcoin than Gradecoin. Look at that. It's only 6.1% more profitable to mine on Gradecoin over Bitcoin. Wow. Check it out. 13.4% more profitable to mine on Fisher Price Cash. What a joke. I think that's actually being used as a distraction, actually. But that's funny. 1.2% more profitable to mine on Bcrash. Oh, that'll probably change. Let's just narrow the screen a bit to have a look at the pie charts down here. So global hash rate 7 days, global hash rate 24 hours, Gradecoin hash rate, other miners 11.8. Bcrash, who cares? Fish Price Cash, not bothered. Bitcoin. Let's have a quick look at this. So look at this. 38 million transactions. 38,835,447 over the last 24 hours. Mempool coming up. Look at the mining here. Tal 27.6. QD Link 25.7. Coup 22.1. SA100 10.7. Gorilla Pool 10%. Well done them. Mining Dutch trying to increase theirs 3.75. All right. Just cross-reference that with bit info charts. Yeah, 38,832,755. Nice one. All right, let's go into a little bit of news then. So Mail Online has reported this, said alert over flu-like disease that kills in 1 day landing on UK shores. Get jabbed, experts urge. Well, where have we heard this before? They have to do it again. They're getting desperate. And check this out. British Patriot has reported, said breaking in Darlington, a real estate that was a plan to house illegal immigrants is currently on hold. The new homes were damaged after an unknown assailant powered a dumper truck through them. The British have had enough. They're fighting back. And again, it's all, people are sort of waking up to this Kalergi plan. You can see what that's all about right down there. Right, there we go. We'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed it. So as ever, if you enjoy these updates, please ding your donations for your appreciation to either Satoshi at Semba.com, handcash.io, rockwallet.me, simply.cash, related.com or senti.ch. We'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed it. As ever, be aware, take care, stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next one.
The king still has one more move.